Okay, hey guys, this is episode 20, I think, of the vlog battles, and, there's no video on this one. I don't even know if I'm gonna add a background video to this one, and that's because it's currently, 2 a.m., and it's way too dark to film anything, so there's no point anyway. The reason I'm not filming this later in the day when there's daylight is because, given the subject matter, I can't really force myself to talk about this type of stuff, so I just have to be in the mood, and it happened to be at 2:30 in the morning, so sorry about that. So, as you all know, Chirax has asked me to talk about happy and sad times in my life, so I will do that, but before we get into that, a few things. A lot of those albums Chirax recommended are now on my foobar, so I'm gonna be listening to those. Thank you a lot. And the thing about everyone steals music, it's just about, you know, how you steal. Completely agree with that, and it holds so true to everything I do. But anyway, I usually, you know, I usually never plan out these type of things, because, you know, I believe in, if, you know, you should just be able to talk about what you want to talk about, and if it goes a bit off topic, that's fine. But for this one, I'm going to try and not edit it or do anything as much as possible, just because that fits the mood that Chirax has set for me. So without further ado, we're going to start out with things that make me sad, and then end, of course, on the note that everyone wants to end on, things that make me happy. So here we go. So, sad things in my life. The first thing is, I think Chirax knows about this, I don't know. I tend to be very, you know, not showy of how I feel about things. A lot of people, you know, they have, like, default personalities. Like, some people default to being, you know, cynical at things and, you know, not happy. Some people default to be neutral. I generally default to be happy, which I guess is a good thing and a bad thing, you know, if depending on how you look at it. So sometimes a lot of people won't know if things are bugging me, and a lot of times I won't even know if things are bugging me, and, you know, again, that's good and bad. But to start out, I haven't actually had, like, I know a lot of people who go through a lot worse things than I have. I mean, I'm, what's the word, lucky, I guess, or, you know, yeah, I can't think of the word right now, but I'm a very lucky person because, you know, I haven't been through, I know some people have gone through just really, really bad stuff, and then there's me, and, you know, I haven't really gone through all too much. So I have 3 sad things, and then I don't know how many happy things are just gonna go off the, off script, if you will. I don't write scripts for these, but, you know. The first thing is, a few years back, it was my grade 9 year, so that would be, like, 4 years back, I believe, because I'm in grade 12 now, just finishing up that. I have a lot, as I'm sure a lot of people do nowadays, I have a lot of friends who I communicate via Skype, and, you know, with that you get a whole mess of people. You get a lot of different kinds of people, and the people I mainly converse with are people who participate in, you know, making music like I do, so we can bounce ideas off each other. Oh, you guys, look at my new whip, and all that type of stuff. So one day, I'm not gonna have any names here because that's just a dick move. One day, we're gonna call him person A and person B. So, a friend of mine, person A has always been in the group chat with us, and is a good friend of mine, and all that stuff. So one day, person B joined the group, our big old group chat, and then a whole bunch of things happened, a whole bunch of stupid melodrama that no one cares about. and in hindsight it's really stupid and not even worth explaining. But what ended up happening is that person A and person B, and to a certain extent me, we all had a very big, disagreements, and things weren't very good. Harsh words, of course, were transpired between all three of the people, and we all kind of went our separate ways. And I remember that being one of the first times I could say I actually felt really sad for a reason that I think is worth feeling sad. Of course, before that, I would always get sad when I would leave, but when I would move, because I've moved around a lot. But back then I was 6, so I don't really count any of that stuff as legitimate, legitimate reasons to be truly sad. The reason I was sad about this was because no matter how much my friend tries to, person A and me have since then, I think it was 2 years since we didn't talk for like 2 years, and then just recently actually we got back in touch, and now we're best buds. We're best buds for life. Past is behind us and all that. But person B we don't talk to for reasons. And I generally don't like when people go like, oh, I'm feeling bad because reasons, and then they don't go into it. But it's honestly not worth explaining. So yeah, I was generally sad because person A had been a really great friend of mine, and to just lose friends like that is just so not a good time for anyone to have, really. And I think that that was a bad time. I was feeling that. It happened as soon as the school year started. It happened this summer between grade 9 and 10, and feeling it all the way up until I think the halfway mark done grade 10. So it was a good half a year where I wasn't in best condition. Of course, no one knew I wasn't in best condition because that's just how I roll. But I let school to preoccupy me and all that stuff. So it wasn't all that bad. But of course, it was just a lingering, oh man, because no matter, as I was going into before I run on a tangent, no matter how much my friends keeps telling me it's not my fault and I didn't do anything wrong and all that, there's no mistaking that I was the bigger douchebag in that scenario. And it's kind of life building when you realize that you can do certain things that you really don't. I'm actually generally kind of a hypocritical person, as in I will say I dislike certain qualities in people, and I myself have those qualities, but maybe that's just me trying to fight off said qualities. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know any of this stuff. And reason, sad moment number 2, I guess we're getting into is, so as a lot of you know, I was born in Canada, and then I moved down to Las Vegas when I was about 2, I think, or maybe 3 or 4, but around that area. And I think I lived there until I was about 10 or 11, and at that point, our family moved back up to Canada, which we lived for, I don't know, until I was, say, 17. No, 16. No, 17. Yeah, I was 17. Anyway, after that, my dad got a job back in Las Vegas. So, of course we were all going to move down back to Las Vegas because that's, where work is, and work is good and all that stuff. But what we didn't know was that in our 4 years, way more than 4 years, more like it was 6 years, I think now, the United States had considered us to abandon our status as United States citizens because we didn't renew it every 6 months. I get that's a law. If you're traveling outside of the States, keep that in mind. It's very important. But anyway, yeah, my dad moved down to start his job up and, you know, get all settled in and all that. And then the rest of my family and me, we stayed in Canada for what we thought was going to be 3 months. So we asked my grandparents if we could just, you know, stay in their house, and like, oh, it won't be long. And they agreed. God bless them, they're such great people. But it ended up being an entire year, a year and a bit, I think. It was a year, 13 and a half months, I believe, and that's when I made all my terrible vlogs. And this, of course, you know, just the feeling of being separated from, you know, even one member of your family, and not being able to see them it's of course really rough on you, and it's not a very good time. But I guess I'm gonna, no, I won't go there yet. But I had a lot of I've always been a pretty extroverted person, I guess you could say. I always make a lot of friends, where, you know, whenever I go to school and all that, and that's a good time. But this segues into my last thing. I lived in Sherwood Park for 5 years, that's where I lived, and then we moved to Kamloops for 2 years, and then that last year, where we were waiting for our immigration, we moved back to Sherwood Park to live with our grandparents. So during that year, it was kind of like a non-stop party for me, in a sense, because all my friends, they all knew that I was going to leave, and, you know, we didn't know when I was going to leave. So I think I had about 17 goodbye parties or something, and I just have some of the best friends, you know, anyone could ever ask for, and I'm so happy I could have met people like that. And I'm so happy that people like that exist. It really gives me faith in humanity, that people like that are real and like exist. And you can, like, people say that, you know, people are bad and life is, you know, not a good thing, but if people like that can exist, then that's you know, if people as good as the people I knew in Kamloops and Sherwood Park can exist, then the world as a whole can't be all that bad, right? Anyway, yeah, we would get together like once a week, and I would always hang out with them, and it was really, really great, and some of the best friends, again, I've ever had. And that leads me into the other sad part, which I'm actually kind of in now, and I guess no one even knows this, not even any of my friends I talk to currently. Again, because I don't show emotion, I don't show negative emotion, rather. Anyway, I have this sense of I'm never gonna see any of my friends again type of thing going on, and it's not a very fun thing to have. And like, I mean, even one or two of my friends, they keep on telling me they'll fly up during the summer. They'll fly up and see me during the summer, and I mean, that is huge, and it means a lot more to me than I think I've let them know that it does. But yeah, that's still, you know, you're still with the feeling like, oh, it's, you know, I get to hang out with you once like for a week in the summer, and I mean, I know it might sound weird because, you know, I'm used to having friends online. I'm used to talking to people online. Cherex, of course, is miles and thousands of miles away from me, but I'm still good friends with him. But it's completely different when you have, you know, physical, real life friends that you have, and then for them to be gone and you to be unsure if you'll ever, you know, if you'll ever see them again. It's a completely different deal than, you know, talking to someone through the internet. So even though I do talk to them through the internet, not as often as I talk to my Skype group of friends, I still do talk to them every now and then, and it is nice to talk to them, of course. But it's just not a very, I don't know, I guess I should probably talk about how I guess I deal with that type of stuff. Again, none of that stuff I'd say is very serious. It's all just, yeah, it's not very, of course I haven't been through a lot of bad things, as a lot of people have, but I guess a quick little fact before we start. I have what's called a chromatopsia. It is a issue with the cells that transmit lights to your brain into signals. People will always ask me, if you have bad vision, why don't you just wear glasses? It's because glasses, if you know how glasses work, the lenses reflect the light in such a way that it reflects the light in such a way that the light will, hit your eye in a certain way, and it'll make everything, work out. The thing with my eyes is that the lenses and the light and everything hits perfectly fine. It's just not transmitted properly, so glasses literally don't do a thing for me. But you'd think that would be, quite a big bummer, because of that, there's 0% chance my vision will get better. There's 0% chance I can ever own a car or drive, which, limits what I can do severely. There's like 0% chance I can ever, go to different places and, see different places on my own, because, I can't see. I always have to have someone there with me, which isn't, you'd think that would be a bad thing, but really, it doesn't bother me in the slightest at all whatsoever. So no, surprisingly not the only actual serious thing that is wrong with my life, I guess you could say, which is my bad vision. It doesn't even bug me. So, that just goes to show you how generally happy of a person I am, I guess. I guess how I deal with stuff like that is, I kind of just don't. I'm a very worryless person, I guess you could say, almost to a fault. I guess a lot of people would say, oh, if you don't worry about things, that's great, it's awesome, there's no stress. And although that is true, I still, to this day, if you'll ask me, I will always say, I don't actually know what stress feels like. I'm not sure what the feeling of stress is. And that's just because I don't get that, and that is a very bad thing, actually. It's not a good thing. Things like pain and stress and all that stuff, they exist for a reason, and that reason is, of course, to keep you on, the right path. If we didn't have pain, everyone would be dead. If we didn't have stress, nothing would get done. And that is exactly how it is for me. I will have tests and tests and tests, and I just won't stress out about it. I had a job interview a while ago, and I didn't stress out about it. I didn't stress out about it so much I forgot to go, so never showing my face there again. So it's not that's a bad time. But yeah, anyway, the way I deal with that type of stuff is I don't, you just let it sit, and eventually, of course, because I'm always doing things that make me happy, and I'm always doing things that I think are, fun and stuff, it's very easy to forget that, bad things happen, and it's very easy to completely, I guess, wash away the bad feelings that you can have. You know what they say, time heals all wounds, and I think that is true. Okay, I guess we're gonna go on to happy things now, and there is a lot of that. I could go all day on that. I could go for hours and hours about, events in my life that were happy, but I think I'll just stick with a few. Of course, this is going to sound extremely materialistic and kind of douchey, I guess, but one of the happiest things was when I got my computer back in my own hands, and that is more than just I want to own a lot of things, because if like my life's work, I guess you could say, and my passion, which of course is music, is all on that computer, and I don't want to lose that, of course. It was just nice to have it back and to say I can finally get to work again on music, and I can finally talk to a lot of my friends who I couldn't talk to because, you know, internet. I could talk to them on my phone or whatever back in Canada, but if you know how, you know, phone Skype works, it's not a very good deal to be in. So getting that back was definitely good. I was super happy about that. Another thing was back in Canada, as I said, all my friends were just I don't know if I'm lucky or if I don't know what, because a lot of people will say, you know, I've had bad friends, and I like, it's I'm gonna say something that I'm not sure a lot of people are gonna be happy with, but it's a lot easier to find bad friends on the internet because there's such a large pool, and you can pick from so many different people, and but yeah, I of course, first story I told, I have had bad friends on the internet, but I guess everyone has, right? It's pretty normal. But a lot of people, you know, have also had, you know, people who they don't want to keep in contact with in real life too, and I can't really say I have. Every person I've met face to face has been, you know, a nice person that I kind of want to continue talking to. Of course, give or take one or two people, but those weren't bad people. They're just, you know, people whose personalities clash with mine. Let's go with that. So yeah, a lot of my friends, a lot of the happiest moments, I guess, have been with my friends. One thing that stands out to me, and bear with me, this is gonna sound really, again, materialistic and douchey at the beginning, but it'll get better. One thing that really stands out to me is, as a going away gift from Sherwood Park to Las Vegas, a group of maybe 12 of my friends from Sherwood Park, a few, yeah, I think it was 12 or so. They all pitched in some money, and they bought me a tablet, a Samsung Galaxy tablet, and that was, it's what made me so happy about that. It wasn't exactly the gift itself, although I am of course happy to get a tablet for free. I don't think anyone would be, you know, sad about that. But it was more so the thought behind it, and when they gave it to me, they said, hey, we're gonna give this to you so you can keep in touch with us in Las Vegas. And just the fact that they were so willing and wanted to, you know, keep in contact with me is so, it's such a good feeling to know that there are people out there who actually care that much, you know, about being with you and talking to you. It's kind of hard to fathom sometimes. This is gonna sound stupid, of course, but yeah, just watching anime in general really does make me super happy. Even if it's a bad show, I'll say, you know, as I said in my last vlog, I watched Strike Witches. Don't watch it still. I still hold true to that. Don't watch it. It's pretty garbage. But even if it's a really stupid show, I'll still enjoy watching it. I don't know what it is about it. Just really, no matter what I see, I'll have fun while watching it, and I can enjoy things for what they are. There's not a lot of shows I don't like, and even something like Strike Witches, I'm sure I can get something out of to enjoy. You know, there's all, like, for the most part, if you don't enjoy something, the only reason is because you're not trying hard enough to enjoy that thing. That's, cynicism is something I do not understand very much. Because why would you try? Why would you actively try to dislike something? It just seems kind of wrong to me, you know? But anyway, I digress. Another one is joining the music community that I did. I'm gonna go to the Ralm Origin Stories annals here, and tell everyone my Ralm's life story. So it was, I'm pretty sure it was October or something. It was around that time, where I joined a website called MLR, or My Little Remix, and it was either 2010 or 2011. I actually forgot which one. I think it was 2010 or 11, whatever. But yeah, I joined that, and I joined the IRC, and I started participating in Toastbeard contests. And if you don't know what those were weekly themed contests, and when My Little Pony was airing, they would be based off of the episodes. So, you know, it'd be an episode and it'd be like, make a song about Spike killing dragons or something. So, you know, people would do that, and I had a lot of fun with that. Some of the first songs I ever made were submissions to that, unreleased because they're garbage, but, you know, that's how it is. Fun fact as well, the first ever Toastbeard I entered, with my song Reflection, was actually the first ever Toastbeard Cherax entered too. We were destined from the beginning. The stars spelled out our fate, and a beautiful friendship was born on Toastbeard 17, I believe. Anyway, after that, I joined the IRC as Rainbow Crash, or Rainbow Crash, RALMBOWCRASH, and that was a good time for a little while. It was fun. You know, it's pretty unorganized in IRC chats, so you don't really get to know a lot of people. But one day, this fine gentleman named I think it was someone named Main Electric. So anyway, Main Electric private messaged me. I think you do that on the IRC. I don't know. It was some type of IRC private message thing that they had, where you could type a message, and then when you logged in, it would notice you logged in, and it would say, hey, this guy said this. And anyway, he said, hey man, what's your Skype? I have, you know, something interesting to show you. And so of course I was like, yeah, whatever. I was way more internet safe, I guess you could say, back then. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to add this random stranger on Skype. What if he, you know, finds me and kills my family or something? So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that, but, you know, just this guy. So I did that, and then he's like, hey man, let me add you to this group. So he added me to this group, and there was a Skype call going on. I believe it was the first day I was in the group. There was a Skype call going on. So I'm like, you know, let's just join this. Let's just, you know, get in and see what this is all about. So I joined in, and of course this is nervous 14-year-old Ralm, I think I was. And I remember the first call I was in, I didn't say a friggin' word. Not a single word was spoken from me. And you know, it was who was in the chat? Fenning, if you know Fenning, he was in the chat. Flater was in the chat. Psychedelic Brownie was in the chat. Neon Jalapeno was in the chat. Mallard was in the chat. Mallard was the one who added me to the group, by the way, not the Main Electric. Anyway, Mallard was in the chat. The Main Electric was in the chat. You know, Automatic Jack was in the chat. And these are all people who have become pretty good friends of mine, to a certain degree. And I remember I didn't say a single word that first day, because I was just too nervous. Later on, I think it was maybe two more days down the road, they had another group Skype call which I joined in, and I remember Automatic Jack was so drunk. It was hilarious because it was my second day there, so I was still kind of nervous, and I'm like, oh man, this is nerve-wracking to me, because it was kind of just like meeting a random stranger to me, which, you know, you get better with time the more you do it. But, you know, I was nervous and I didn't want to talk to anyone, and then Automatic Jack was so drunk, and you know, as much as I am straight edge, drunk people are so easy to talk to and to get along with. And I don't know what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was that made me get into the group as much as I did. So props to AutoJack, man, you're a friggin' trooper. And then, of course, what would end up being my 3 main friends who I would hang out with a lot, which were Psychedelic Brony, Flater, and Neon Jalapeno. We would all talk a lot and converse, and it was such a good time, and just so many good memories I have of first starting out in the music community, and just there's so much good times I can remember. How I met Cherax, though, was another really funny one. Well, not really funny, just more good memory. This is me, like, reminiscing, like, about my childhood or something, I don't know. This is probably not very interesting to a lot of people, but, you know, tangents. I said I'd do it, so I'm doing it. How I met Cherax was, the first time he came into the, he was always in no, I think Mallard added him. Someone added him one day, and that's back when his name was still Ferox. And I'm like, Ferox, who's this guy? Whatever. So I didn't really pay him much mind. And I remember one day I was playing Team Fortress 2, and this British voice pops on to the Skype chat, and he starts talking, and I'm like, who's this British guy? Because we had Mallard is British, and the main Electric had a different type of accent. So I'm like, this guy's British, but it's not Mallard. So who is it? And it was Cherax. It was Cherax Destructor, in the virtual flesh. And I remember just instantly, you know, I don't know what it was, but we just kind of got along. Like the first day I met him, we kind of clicked, I guess you could say. And that was really awesome. And then, of course, later on I found out he wasn't British, but he was Australian. And I felt really stupid after finding out that the person I thought was British all this time was actually Australian. So that was really great. I guess there's not a whole lot more I can say that hasn't really been said. I mean, just working on all the songs I have. Whenever I work on music, it's generally a pretty good memory of mine. So many songs I worked on. I made this one song called Waves this one time, and it's pretty much the quintessential epitome, like apex of my music. It is Ralm's music incarnate, like in body. That is just what I do. And that was really, I made that a long time ago, and it's not on my channel anymore. Really sad I deleted it, because for the longest time I couldn't find the song file anymore. So I was so distressed, because I remember just working on that song was some of the most fun I've ever had writing music, and I really wish like I could go back and have as much fun writing music as I used to. I still have a lot of fun writing music. It's just kind of lost its wonder, you know. There's not a lot of things. I don't. When you learn music theory, or at least when I learned music theory, I take so much less risks now. Like, there's a certain structure, and this is the bane of creativity. Okay, don't do this. Do as I say, not as I do. There's a certain structure that when you're learning, you follow, because that's right. That's what you do, you know. And you know, you'll always start, if you're in A minor, you always start with an A minor chord and all that jazz. And I back before I knew music theory, when I was just placing notes that I thought sounded good. By the way, up until Unum Animus, I think it was, that's how I made music. I just placed notes randomly that I thought sounded good. No idea what music theory was. I remember when I was writing my song Reflection Redux, I actually asked my friends, I'm like, so what's the difference between a major and minor scale? I'm not sure. And that was the start of it. That's when I started learning what was up. But it wasn't until, you know, a few songs after that I really got the gist of it. But I still, before I learned it, I was making what I thought sounded good, not what I knew sounded good. And I'm not sure if that makes sense to anyone, but it is something that I really wish I could go back to, and I'm having such a hard time going back to that. And I guess maybe you'll see it in my more recent music. I'm trying desperately to limit myself, because limiting yourself is sometimes the best way to expand upon your creativity. But anyway, off that tangent now. I remember writing the song Waves was some of the most fun I ever had writing music, because I did since find that song. It is not a very good song by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, just like this is a bit of a secret that not a lot of people know. Just like Dear S is one of my favorite anime. Dear S is god awful, by the way. It is so bad. It is not a good anime. It objectifies women to no end. It is so over-sexualized, so bad. Not a good show, but it's still one of my favorite things ever. Just because it was one of the first animes I ever watched, and it's just got a special place in 13-year-old me's heart. Or I don't even know how old I was when I watched it. Probably older than 13. I don't know. It just had a place in my heart, and it sticks there. It's so bad though. It's so generic. It's so stupid. Just like Waves. Waves is so bad. It's so dumb. It's not. It's like it's compositionally pretty okay, but it's 100% massive presets and drum presets, and it's, you know, composition. There's off notes. There's notes that don't fit in the scale. That don't fit in the song. But it doesn't matter. It's still one of my favorite songs I ever wrote, just because I remember how much fun I had writing it. And I think it's pretty important to you know, to go back and listen to your old songs, and not, you don't listen, I don't listen to my songs, I don't listen to the final product. I listen to you know, the enjoyment I got out of making a song. A lot of my least favorite songs that I've made have been songs that I've just been like, I gotta get this done, I gotta finish this. You know, I highly recommend you never do that, no matter what you do. You always need to enjoy your work, or else it won't be the quality that I think it needs to be. Because it reflects, you know, the quality of your work reflects, you know, what you think about it. But yeah, this has been Tangents with Ralm. There's really not a whole lot more I can think of, at least. Actually, there is one more thing that made me really happy. So no one knows this, not a single soul except for me and Cherax know this, but me and Cherax did a series of 4 interviews, 2 each. I interviewed Cherax twice, and Cherax interviewed me twice. The audio recordings for each interview is like 2 hours long. One of them I think is about 4 hours long. So it's a collective of like, it's like, I don't know, 12 hours of just me and Cherax having a Skype conversation. Those 4 sessions of just sitting down and talking face to face with Cherax, some of the most fun. You know, I don't get to talk face to face with Cherax as much as I feel like I want to. A lot of our conversation are just these vlog battles, which I was so ready to jump on, because I'm like, more Cherax, I'm down. So I remember filming those was super fun. They're never gonna get released, by the way. They're 3 or 2 years old at this point, so don't expect those ever. But yeah, it was still really fun when we did them, and it's just, you know, stuff like that. Of course, it all loops back to all the time I spent hanging out with my friends. Is so valuable to me. But anyway, for the third time, I need to stop this now because it's probably getting long. I'm not actually sure how long this is. As I said, I think it's like 3 a.m. now. I'm just sitting here in my room. It's pitch black out. I'm like the only one awake. I have a little blanket wrapped around me. My computer screen is off, so I don't know how long it's been recording for. And yeah, so I think it's about time we end this. So this has been Sad Times and Happy Times, the adventures of Ralm, and I love you all, like everyone. I say this a lot. If you like, yeah, you know, if you know me well, I love everyone. But kind of segueing back into that whole interview spirit of things, for my prompt for you, Cherax, is I know you're gonna be at Horse Sex Con 2015, and I want you to find some guests. And, you know, in the interview spirit of things, bringing it back to old school 2013, I want you to, you know, give a little interview to some of the people you see. I want some of them to be musicians, some of them to be just random passerbys. Make sure to tell them why you're interviewing them. I want to see people's reactions to this whole vlog idea. I think it's really interesting, and I think it's actually really cool. But yeah, interview them, ask them some questions, maybe write them down. It would be really cool. So yeah, do that. Peace out.